Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open the website up to edit it now. I'm going to use Visual Studio. If you use something other than Visual Studio, that's just fine, just so you know which files to modify. Okay, so yeah, the solution is going to open up, and you can see in here the file structure, and I'm just going to open some files and edit them. Mostly the template. So remember, we're working with Skin 2 now. I'm going to open up the template.master. So this is just a basic AspDotNet master page, but if you haven't seen one before, it's mostly HTML, so not too intimidating. And the first thing we're going to do in here is add a logo to the site. So you can see we're kind of lacking a logo at first, so that logo is right here. And I'm just going to add some simple text to the template where the logo would be, and I'll go ahead and save that. And let's take a look. Okay, great. So now we've got our hello world text up there. So most likely you're not going to want to just add text up there, but I'm just doing this right now to show you how simple it is to modify the template. The next thing I'd like to cover is tokens, and you'll see quite a few tokens strewn throughout the default template here. So you can see this is the username token, and it'll actually render out a username if you're logged in. Another one is the sign in and sign out text. That'll render out the text that you find right here. So log in, and it changes depending on whether you're logged in or logged out. So that token is pretty handy. And one thing you'll notice about tokens is that most of them tend to use an ASP literal to contain the token. So this whole block of code right here, I'm going to go ahead and copy that literal, and I'll just kind of show you the basics of using a literal. And it doesn't need to have an ID on it. I'm going to go ahead and remove it. They have to have different IDs, so that one wouldn't have worked. So when you make an ASP literal, you do need to have a runat equals server tag, and then at least some text probably. And in this case, I'm just going to remove the token for now. And change that text up. So there you go. You can see that does basically the same thing we were doing before. It just renders out that text to the browser. So, but the nice thing about using a literal is we can do things like use these more dynamic tokens instead of just putting plain text in there. So that kind of covers literals for now. We'll get back to using a few more of those in more complicated ways. But since we're working here in the logo, I'd like to go over adding an image for the logo. So the best way to do that is with an ASP image tag. I'm going to go ahead and create that. And again, you'll need the runat equals server. And then I'm just going to use the image URL to specify the image path to add our logo. And then a nice token to use is the skin image token. So this is just going to write out the username, and that's not what I want. So I'm going to go take a look at the tokens reference up in the manual online for AspDotNet Storefront. I've got that open on this third tab over here. But you can get there by selecting your version, and then I usually get in by clicking on skinning and then choose tokens, and then that'll pop up your token reference. So this is really handy when you're skinning a site. You can obviously grab a lot of these tokens right out of the default template, but some of them aren't in there. So this is the token I want to use right here, skin image token. So this is going to go ahead and grab the correct image out of the correct skin for your site. Let's go back to Visual Studio, and I'll just put that token in right here. We're going to grab a skin image, and then we need to specify which image we want. So again, the skin image will go into the correct skin, which will be skin 2, and it's going to be looking in the app themes directory, skin 2 images. So we're just going to specify the name of an image that we find in this directory. And we've got one in here called logo.gif. So I'm just going to copy that and pass that in as our parameter to the skin image token. And then I'm going to save that and refresh. Okay, so now we've added our logo to the site. And again, if you're not familiar with these tokens, you could just put a simple HTML image in there and refer to it that way. But what's nice about the way we did it is that we could change the name of our skin from skin 2 to skin 4, and it would still reference the correct image. Okay, so that kind of covers literals and ASP image tags, and there's obviously quite a few other ASP tags that I'm not going to cover today, but we'll use a few when working with these tokens. So the next one that's pretty handy is the topics token. I've got an example of that in the default here. If you scroll down to the help box, so again on the front end of the site, that's in the left-hand navigation. Right down here, this text right here is coming out of a topic, and that's rendered out by a token. Right here, you can see that token in action, and you can see that it's running from an ASP literal right here. So I'd just like to show you kind of how you can use your own and create your own topics. So let's go ahead and just add another one right below here. In fact, we can just write, I'll copy this div right here because it's got some of the styles we'll want associated with it for a new nav header. And instead of help and info, we'll call our topic other info. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this whole section here. And then let me just separate that out so we can see what we're working with there. So just this section. Okay. So instead of using this ID, we'll need to switch that. And in fact, right now I don't need an ID, so I'll just delete that. And rather than calling up the help box token, I'm going to call a custom topic that we're going to create in just a moment. So let's call this the other box. And I'm going to remove this ID. You don't want to have duplicate IDs with the same name. So actually, may as well leave it. Just rename it, other box. And then let's go create that topic on the back end here. So yeah, you can get to topics through content, manage topics, and we're going to add a new topic. You want to spell it the same. Call it other box. And we'll just put some simple text in there for now and add that topic. Now back on the other side of the website, I'm going to hit refresh. And you can see our new topic showing up in the left-hand navigation. So you could obviously use that for whatever you'd want. Maybe you could put links to other websites that were related to your site. So next I'm going to cover string resources. String resources are a lot like topics. They're just usually shorter, smaller blocks of simple strings rather than full blocks of HTML. And those can be handy in different places. You'll find some string resource tokens like this one. And this string resource token is actually being passed into the entity control that renders out the left-hand navigation. So this is actually just the string that outputs the word manufacturers right here, or browse manufacturers. So if you wanted to have a string that you could edit from the back end of the website and change every once in a while, you might want to use a string resource. So I'm just going to show you how to use that tag. I'm going to go ahead and copy this token. And instead of having our header just be hard-coded to say other info, it might make a little bit more sense to make that header a string resource that someone could change from the back end of the website or the admin console. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to paste that there for reference. It won't run that way. We need to add an ASP literal. So ASP literal, run add equals server, and text equals our token. Go ahead and pick that back up and put it in there, and then close off the tag. Okay, so I'll save that. So now, rather than this is the other box, it says manufacturers. It's probably not what we're going to want it to say. So we're going to make up our own string resource name, and then I'll show you how to add one in the back end of the website. So this is the name of the string resource that's being pulled in. I'm just going to delete that, and we can put whatever text we'd like in here. We'll call it other box header. And I'll put the skin dot in front of it just so that we know it's being pulled from the skin of the website. So I'll just copy that text, and then we'll go to the admin console, and under content you'll find string resource manager. And here you'll want to change and choose your locale if you happen to have locales set up. This site does. Most won't by default. And once you've done that, you can then add a new string. And that'll be the name. And the value will be other info. And I'll just save that. And reset the cache. So now when I refresh, you'll see our header changes from manufacturers to other info. Okay, so that covers how to add topics and string resources to the template via token. I'm going to now show you how to reference an XML package from the template, just for fun. You may not use these very often depending on your level of programming expertise, but XML packages can be pretty handy. So I'm going to add, there's an XML package in app templates in the skin under XML packages called rev.categories. And I'm just going to add that above the homepage content area just to show you how to call it. It's probably not something you'd actually want to do on your site. So right here is the mark of the beginning of the content area, and that content placeholder is the dynamic part of the website. So above that, I'm going to go ahead and add my XML package. So I'm going to start with a simple ASP literal. Oops. And we'll just add some dummy text for now just to make sure it's placed correctly. So scroll up to the top, I expect to see it here. And when I refresh the page, there it is. Okay, so rather than our dummy text, we're actually going to want to put a token in there. So I'm going to go to my tokens reference and grab this XML package token and paste that in here. And to that token we need to pass the name of the XML package we want to show. And that's going to be rev.categories. So I'll pass that in there and save. And there we go. Now we've just got a list of all of our category links showing up there. So that's how you'd call an XML package from the template if you needed to. I'm going to go ahead and remove that because it's not terribly useful for us right now, but now we know how to do it. Okay. Another nice, useful one, other than just the topic itself, like the help box that we covered earlier, is a topic link. So this token here, you can see, is being used to generate links to topics. And so you may want to add a link to your footer of your site. And if you kind of hover over these, you can see these all link to topic pages. So if you want to add your own topic and add your own topic link, you could do that using the topic link token. So let's scroll down to the footer and add a new one of those. Yeah, so you can see all of these guys are using the topic link. And I'm going to add, in this second group here, I'm going to add another one. So just select that whole block there. And it looks like they're using pipes for divider here, so we'll add one to there. And I'm going to link this to a new topic page called My Topic, and I'm going to save it. Now when I refresh the site, we've got a new link to My Topic, and you can see that's going to link to t-mytopic.aspx. So if you click on that, it'll take you to a page that's not found because we didn't actually create that topic, but you could definitely do that. So that kind of covers the basics of tokens, and we didn't get to all of them. You can see there's quite a few different ones here, and you can read up on them here in this reference guide. So those are pretty handy. They're a nice way to make parts of your template dynamic.